Efforts to reel in local crime intensifies. The opposition leader names his shadow cabinet. And in sports, a former coach warns England about taking the Windies lightly.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, law enforcement officials are pledging a more intense effort to get crime in Barbados under control. And this from Attorney General Dale Marshall, who led a team into New Orleans and Chapman Lane, two of the areas where the most recent spate of shootings took place. This is 3rd Avenue Chapman Lane, the area where gunmen shot at patrolling police officers on Thursday night. Well, the Attorney General, Maritime Affairs Minister Kirk Humphrey, along with the Police Commissioner Tyrone Griffith and the BDF Chief of Staff, Colonel Glenn Granham, along with their top-ranking personnel, spent about an hour and a half in this and surrounding areas this morning. It was all in an effort to reassure residents that they're doing what it takes to remain on top of the crime situation. Mr. Marshall described this most recent upsurge as a scourge and referred to those doing the shootings as gun-wielding bullies, whom he says will not be allowed to send citizens into a state of paralysis.
All of the hard-fought gains that we've made as a new administration in the last few months in terms of attracting major enterprises to Barbados, attracting investment, helping to turn around the economy, can all be lost through the lawlessness of a few members of our society.
Mr. Marshall says the intensified effort is backed by additional resources sanctioned by the Prime Minister.
I have the good fortune to be in charge of the DPP's office that prosecutes, and they're also going to get additional resources. I'm responsible for the courts. So in a sense, I hope to be able to use all of these things to bring about efficiencies that we seem to have lost over the last few years.
Acknowledging that guns being used come from overseas, the AG says 2 new container scanners will be installed at the ports. He says this is a direct signal that everyone will be under scrutiny.
For the longest time, the port has had to deal with a single scanner, which can only do about 100 containers a day. When they tell you that we're going to make sure that the one that is down is fixed, and that's to be fixed by the end of February, and shortly thereafter we'll have 2 additional ones, that should tell you that we are committed to going after the business community as well. If they're being used unwittingly, it has to be stopped. If they're participating in it willingly, that has to come to an end.
Mr. Marshall stresses that no one is immune to the crime problem and all of Barbados has a part to play in resolving the situation. The warmth and charm of Barbadians remains a pull factor for repeat visitors to the island. Several of these men and women who consider the island their second home were the toast of the evening as Barbados hosted a repeat visitors reception in their honor, thanking them for their patronage. We'll hear more in this report from Kishmar Singist.
The change in venue set the mood as Barbados feted a number of repeat visitors. The grand reception is usually held at the Prime Minister's official residence at Illawarra Court. This year, it was at the picturesque Gun Hill Signal Station in St. George. Local music, steel pan, food and samples of Barbadian culture all added to last night's package. Minister of Tourism and International Transport Kerry Simmons says there remains a passion and zeal for Barbados by visitors.
The level of enthusiasm that they demonstrated really impressed me, and it convinced me that we have to be very mindful of the fact that this is not just a matter of sentiment. This is an opportunity for us to continue to build relationships with people who see Barbados as the first choice, the top of mind choice, as being a home away from their home.
Canadian couple Robert and Bonnie Fraser has been visiting Barbados for 43 years.
The atmosphere, the total relaxation of being here. We've traveled all over the world. We've been fortunate enough to do that. Every country that you can imagine, but Barbados is our home. We're in Canada. Barbados is our home in the south, and our home up on the lake just north of Toronto is Barbados North. And that's the way we and all our friends view Barbados. It is our home away from home.
Another Canadian visitor, Shirley Eyre, is on her 42nd visit. She even plays a part in promoting Barbados in her hometown.
I tell them about the friendliness of the Barbadian people first. Secondly, I tell them about the weather. I tell them I feel very safe here. I am extremely comfortable, and I have made so many friends over the 42 years.
Tourism officials scored high marks from the minister as he welcomed the new location. Kishmar St. Gis, CBC News.
Thanks, Kishmar. Well, the opposition has named a shadow cabinet to provide alternative policies and to be a check and balance to the Mia Amour Motley-led administration. 14 of the 17 opposition spokespersons were presented to the media during a press conference called by opposition leader Bishop Joseph Atherley. The shadow cabinet comprises one current member of Solutions Barbados, as well as former candidates of that party and the United Progressive Party. Among them are businessman Scott Weatherhead, who will shadow tourism, regional and international transport, Senator Crystal Drake's Economic, Sustainable Development and Climate Change, and Senator Caswell Franklin, Labour, Social Security and Cooperative Civil Establishments. Bishop Atherley says the occasion is an historic one for Barbados, noting they will ensure the interests of Barbadians are well represented.
I commend them to the Barbadian public. They're all experienced people. They're all skilled in their respective areas. They bring an honesty of purpose to the table, and I think they bring us a sense of humility as well. And I think beyond being coincidental, they bring a measure of sensitivity that there is a divine order under which they seek to serve in the interests of the Barbadian public. So this is a team for the opposition platform, the alternative platform.
Bishop Atherley maintains that after the general elections, the results created a void in the democratic process, one he says he had to fill. Meanwhile, spokesman on the creative economy at Sports Industry Development, Alan Springer, says the time is right to invest in those two areas.
I believe it's time that those industries begin to contribute to transforming Barbados into a modern economy. And it is time for those industries to become genuine economic engines. And that's not unique universally.
Well, technical and vocational institutions like the Samuel Jackman Prescott Institute of Technology must develop practical ways for people to be able to make a living. This is according to Minister of Maritime Affairs and the Blue Economy, Kirk Humphrey. He says his ministry is making sure that it capitalizes on all those things involving the sea.
Barbados used to be a seafaring country. The reality is that in cruise and in cargo alone, they said that this is a $210 billion industry worldwide. There is a whole range of potential for that industry. Captain Ferguson would tell you we had a very good conversation a couple of days ago about where we think we could take the whole industry, the ships, the ship registry, but that there is a future there, and we have to see past our borders as being the limits for Barbadians. We now have to be able to train Barbadians to be able to fill all these gaps in the world. There are so many people aching for the kind of quality students that Barbados produces, not only in medicine and in nursing, but in these technical things.
Mr. Humphrey was speaking during a ceremony where he presented the Minister's Award to the most outstanding performer in the Certificate in Maritime Operations, Aaron Thomas. Goddard Shipping and Tours has been offering internships to the top students of the program since 2015. Well, Mr. Thomas says he is proud of his accomplishment and admitted that maritime studies was not his first choice for a career. He says, though, since studying, he has fallen in love with it and used an example of a recent internship.
I was sent to the Barbados Port Inc., where I began to put what I had learned into practice. It was a great experience. I was the seaman on the deck, however, I was given the opportunity to steer a tug and navigate as well. I can now proudly say that I know where I want to go next, as this course has taught me direction and how to steer my life. I am certain of what I want in my career, and I am sure that many of my fellow graduates have found what they want to do as well.
Artist Buju Banton's Long Walk to Freedom tour was launched in Jamaica, and already corporate sponsors have thrown their support behind the concert, slated for March 16th. Buju will also perform in Barbados, the Bahamas, and Trinidad and Tobago as part of that tour.
I tell you that on March 16th, it's not only an energy that he's bringing, but he has a lot to say, a lot to share with you, a lot to tell you.
And if anyone expected to see Banton in person at his Long Walk to Freedom launch, their hopes were dashed. They were shown a taped message instead.
And on the 16th of March, we endeavor to reconnect, yes, and pick up where we left off. So I'll be there, and I want to make sure I see you there. I'm not there tonight with you, not in the flesh, but in the spirit, I am there. Yes? So, my love goes out to all. Thank you very much again for your love and your support. And until I see you in the National Stadium on the 16th of March, one love.
Buju Mania expected to produce a big payday come March 16, but organizers warning fans to beware of ticket scalpers and scammers.